So Fu Xuan is the I almost said it again, the first preservation character since the launch of the game. With her addition to the roster, I'm really excited in seeing what exactly she'll do for teams in her prime. And since she's Quantum, that makes it even more interesting because she's the current puzzle piece we're missing in a certain team. And of course, she has one of the best designs in the game. The attention to detail for this character is extremely good. So March 7th is one of the best characters in the game. She is a very nice preservation hybrid character. She has the cleanse effect on her elemental skill, which gives a shield to the ally and is able to cleanse a debuff from that ally. So that makes her a very hybrid character with the abundance path trait of cleansing, which makes her a very valuable character going forward. We look at these characters to mainly provide shields for the allies. If they were to provide shields for themselves, then they would be the ones soaking the most damage. But these are going to be your true tank characters by nature. The characters that will be the front line and soaking up most, if not all, of the damage, while also providing utility for the team in form of shields. Maybe going forward we'll have every preservation character provide shields, or maybe we won't. We'll have to wait and see. March 7th gives a shield to the ally with her elemental skill, which soaks a massive amount of damage. That is dependent on March's defense. So the more defense you put on this character, because every shield scaler right now scales based off of defense, which in turn makes them more tankier and increases their shield strength, you get a very strong shield for March 7th. Whenever that shielded ally is attacked, then March 7th will counter, which in turn does pretty nice damage. If you also take into consideration you do get ice damage boost with the character, and on top of that, you probably will have constellations later on, which will in turn make March 7th do more damage with her counterattacks. And she can freeze all enemies with her ultimate, and if you're getting hit or the allies are getting hit, you will get more energy, and on top of the energy you're already gaining, you will gain even more once you counterattack. So then you will, on top of that, have a very nice funnel towards your ultimate, which you will constantly be freezing the enemy over and over again. So you understand that March 7th is an extremely valuable character. I think she was one of the, if not probably one of the best starting characters in the game. Really, I think the strength of this character is honestly really crazy. Having a default character like this to be as good as she is really insane. It really speaks volumes about how Hoyoverse saw the start of the game, but also may represent that there is power creep to come, depending on how you look at it. If you do have access to March 7th 6 Constellation, then you give the shield to the ally and that ally heals whenever they take their turn. Of course, if they have the shield that is granted by March 7th. This is very good because it makes her even more of an abundance-like character, while mainly being preservation. Gepard is a character I've been using a lot more recently, even more when it comes to tackling harder stages in the Memories of Chaos. He's a very strong character at that, and you know that he is the best defensive option we have in the game currently, or one of the best, because ever since the release of the Wolcha, things have kind of changed. But he gives tons of value with the shields he provides for your team. He is going to be the bread and butter when it comes to defensive options. He is essentially the Zhongli of Honkai Soro. Having the strongest shield in the game makes this character leagues above every other shielder in the game. A shield that lasts for 3 turns is no joke. And of course, with that being said, when you have access to a shield that is put on every single ally that scales by a percentage of Gepard's defense, while him being a 5-star, so he's going to have higher base scalings than most 4-stars or all 4-stars in the game, that makes him a much better shielder. The reason why the 3-turn mark is actually really important is because when you have a character like Seal that is constantly moving fast and taking turns over and over again, well, the 3-turn makes it to where you'll have the shield on Seal more often than you would have it on her if it was 2 turns. If you had it on 2 turns, well, let's say Seal does her attack and then kills the enemy and does another attack and then probably goes up in the action because she has more speed or she uses her basic attacks so she has more action forward, then you're going to have a character that has a shield go away quickly just because of the nature of the character going over and over and over again in the turn order. So Gepard, what makes this character interesting is that whenever he is hit with a killing blow, he comes back from the dead like a zombie and he will be granted with a percentage of health restoration, and then he has access to his ultimate once more. Full energy towards his ult, which will in turn give another team-wide shield. On my friends list, I have someone with one of the, probably the best Gepard in all of North America. This guy has 4.5k defense, He has 49 effective hit rate, which makes the freeze chance better. And then he has some effective resistance on the character. Of course, he has no energy restoration rate, but for the other stats he has on this Gepard, it makes it make sense. So when you have his best in slot 5-star light cone, you give a ton of defense to the character, and you increase the effective rate by 24%. Of course, depending on level, it can be higher, but it's always best to not refine weapons depending on if you're free to play or not. Anyways, this weapon is essential to Gepard because, of course, a character that scales his shields based off of defense wants even more defense. An effect hit rate for a character that can freeze the enemy is really good. So when I looked at this Gepard, I was amazed. This is something I'll probably never achieve, but god dang, it's just really good to look at. I have to mention, but the 4-piece knight set is really good. It's one of the best sets in the game. You increase your defense by a percentage at the 2-piece mark, and then when you get the 4-piece added effect, you increase the max damage that is absorbed by the shield by 20%. So when you have a character like Gepard, March 7th, or even the Trailblazer main character, having a increased max damage absorption on these shields is going to make those characters even better for the value they provide for the team in the form of shields. That's why the 4-piece knight effect is extremely good. One of the best, probably top 3 best relics in the game currently. Trailblazer main character, depending on which one you have, of course, is going to speak volumes on, first of all, your preferences as a player, and B, if you are a fellow degen like me. But the Preservation is an extremely good version of the Trailblazer main character. This one presented itself to be really good for many people early on in Simulator Universe. Now, as time goes on, you probably find yourself not really using the Trailblazer main character more than not, depending on, of course, the characters you have on your account. But as a free-to-play option, this is the best free-to-play character in the game currently. Being able to taunt all the enemies is really good, because let's just say maybe you are not able to control the enemies from, or stop the enemies from hitting your seal, then having that taunt is going to be really good because you will take all the aggro away from your seal or your damage dealers, and in turn have all of them hit you. And then you have built-in damage reduction with the elemental skill, which makes it even more valuable. Now, of course, the shield doesn't have the best values of any shield character in the game, probably the lowest shield values of all time. But one thing to keep in mind is that from the shield that the Trailblazer main character puts on the whole team, and then the elemental skill giving damage reduction to the Trailblazer main character, even more damage reduction whenever you unlock one of his traces, which gives 15% added damage reduction to all allies. And then being able to restore HP to the Trailblazer main character by 5%, whenever you use the enhanced basic attack, is going to make a very strong and tanky frontline tanker. So while not having a very strong shield, I would say honestly a very flimsy shield depending on what stage of the game you're in currently, you have a pretty decent preservation option. Now, of course, with the nature of this character being free and given to everyone, we can't expect this character to be good in all types of content. Because, I mean, Hoyoverse has to sell you characters, or other characters I should say. But for a character that presents him or her, depending on the one you have, of course, to be a very good option in most PvE content in the game. Well, it is a full PvE game. I don't know why I'm saying most PvE content. Let's just say every content except later stages and Memories of Chaos, you have a very strong defensive option. Lastly, I tend to use this light cone on my Trailblazer main character because it has a chance to put the burn on the enemy whenever the Trailblazer main character is attacked by the enemy. This is going to be passive damage that the Trailblazer is doing to the enemy whenever you taunt them with your elemental skill and they attack you. So this is very good when squeezing in an extra little bit of damage while also increasing your defense by a percentage, which helps with A, taking less damage, and B, giving stronger shields to allies, although the shield is still pretty flimsy. With all that being said, the reason why I'm extremely excited for the release of Fu Xuan, she's going to tell a lot about the future of the Preservation path as a whole. But what exactly should this character provide for the path when she releases? I think a character that A, does a ton of shielding would be pretty nice, just to fit in the Preservation path anyways, while also having higher taunt values than most characters in the game would be really good. It would help with putting her with the other damage dealers you would probably have in your team comps, and stop them from hitting your Ting Yun and your Bronyas, because oh my goodness, I swear, the Harmony characters have like high taunt values for whatever reason. We know March 7 gives healing with her Eidolon 6, so having a character in the Preservation path that also heals is not too far-fetched because it's already been done. So whenever that bridge has been crossed, we can cross it again, surely. So being able to give healing not to one ally but to all allies, I think would make her a much better option over March 7th. Not that I want March 7th to be power crept, but I just want there to be a character that fills both roles. So you can have this character as your sole defensive option while freeing up the other slots for other characters. Because as you all know, a hybrid character that essentially does the job of two paths is better than doing the job of one path, because that allows you to have a much more flexible team comp and allows for more varieties in designing your teams. Now, with all that being said, I do understand that Fu Xuan will probably be changed a lot before the release of the game, so there's no telling what the character is going to do, or what the value of the character is going to bring to the table. We know that she looks good, we know that she has a very attractive personality, but that doesn't really help solve the fact that she may just not be as good of a character as we might think. I mean, waifu over meta, depending on the player, of course. But I just hope that she is a very valuable character. She is limited, so I have a lot of hope for that. But I just hope that Hoyoverse doesn't see this as an opportunity to make her bad and then have players go for her depending on whether or not they're trying to entice people to start pulling for the aesthetics and looks of a character versus what the character actually provides. And if you want a character that does more than what the character does at that current point, like E0, then you have to pull for their constellations to get a complete character. You see what I mean? I hope we don't go to that point with limited characters, and I hope Fu Xuan is not the start of that. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but I do believe that having a character that shields the whole team and provides healing with the shielding on top of that is a lot to ask for from one character. So there may be a opportunity cost there. We'll have to wait and see. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts. I'm really interested in following up with this character. She will also be a very strong character to have in your full quantum teams, with her being the last quantum option we need, and she's preservation, so we know she's going to be a defensive-like character. That really has me excited to try out the full quantum team, and I truly do hope that the team is extremely, well, it probably will be extremely good, because 100% chance to put the quantum weakness from Silverwolf onto the enemy is going to be really good. So I don't even know why I'm saying it's, it's just going to be extremely good, and I'm excited for that. Twitch.tv/Toshio, the link will be in the description. Of course, let me know if you're going for Fu Xuan. We did just also get revealed Den Heng 5-star limited, which I covered in another video, so expect to see that probably tomorrow. Let me know whether or not you're going for either or character, or you're skipping both. Maybe you are saving for another character like me. I gotta say, you're insane in the membrane. Saving for this long is kind of crazy. I could never imagine doing this in Genshin Impact. Thank you for watching, and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.